What's going on, guys? This is Carl at the Racerred channel. Out here riding some beautiful single track as I slide sideways as I hit a rock. I was watching this thing the other day where these wolf packs have trackers on them, and there were 7 different packs, and none of them would intersect each other's ground. Like, they knew the other wolves' territory. And so they would stay within their own territories. It was kind of just interesting to see this on a map. Pretty cool. I kind of wonder if that's just the nature of things as a whole. Like, even with people, we have countries, and we don't like to admit it sometimes, but we aren't compatible with other cultures at all. Like, there are some cultures that if they come over to your place with your rules, they're not going to like that. Their culture doesn't believe in that. There are many examples of what I'm talking about. These cultures already come here and don't understand our rules, because in their culture it's totally fine to commit pretty heinous crimes. But it would be legal over on their side. So it's interesting to see all of the different people on this planet. I mean, if you were to visit each and every country, I think I've always thought that would be cool. I mean, just the countries I've visited are so different in how they believe. I mean, just here in the US, for example, we can carry firearms on us, and I'm talking stuff that is designed for self-defense, not just going to the range. Lots of countries have had their firearms confiscated. Can't talk when I'm getting hit by branches. Some of them will allow hunting rifles and shotguns. But what I'm saying is, like, if you take our culture here in the US and try to integrate it with somebody else, it's not going to work, because we like our guns, we like our freedom of speech, all that stuff. And in other countries, there's lots of stuff that you can do that we can't do. So it's just culture thing. Like, you go to each individual country and you can have way different experiences. An example of that one would be drugs. I mean, if you went to a lot of other countries, they're openly doing drugs, hard drugs. Man, just take a moment to look at the beauty here. This is really something. Really something. But I think our culture really doesn't like to consider these things, calling them racist or whatever. Trump has, one of my buddies always says he just hates Trump for saying that a lot of the people coming to our country illegally are from shithole countries. And can you really hold that against somebody? Everybody was holding that against him. I don't really understand that. Yeah, their cultures are completely demolished because the people suck. The people there created that culture. And so you can say it's not their fault, but it is. And our culture used to suck as well, but then we shot them with guns and made a better culture. We overthrew the tyrannical leaders at one point, and we came up with a pretty sweet system which doesn't exist anymore. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't exist anymore. We now live in a place where we are taxed unreasonably, and we're not allowed to own land in many areas because the government owns it, and freedom of speech is under attack. Our right to defend ourselves with firearms has been depleted. So yeah, lots of that stuff is not all the way intact, for sure. It's not what the founders would have intended it to be. Sometimes I talk about our slave culture back in the day, and what we were doing is buying slaves from conquered, basically we were buying conquered tribes from other tribes, mostly in Africa, and if we essentially saved those people in those other countries when they came over here, and they were treated very well overall. If you look at the numbers, they're like, if you look at the numbers, there are something like, gosh, I'm gonna screw this up. There's something like 10 times more slaves over there right now, current day, more slaves over there right now than there ever were in the US. Those countries suck. Their culture sucks. And if you bring that mentality here, you're going to be in trouble. And Abraham Lincoln knew it. In a lot of his writings, he spoke about how their culture is not compatible with our culture, and it has nothing to do with race. I mean, lots of stuff in our current society is all about race. Oh, it's because they're this color or that color. No, it's because of that culture over there. It's a completely different world. You can't mix that with us unless they prove that they are educated, they've educated themselves on our culture, and they have a good understanding of our expectations. And in that case, it's fine for them to come over, and that's the legal way you can come over here. But you can't just allow any culture over here. In some of the writings, so one of the main black leaders during the times of slavery, when Abraham Lincoln had wanted to hire a company to take all of the slaves back to where they came from, the black leaders were 100% against that. They did not want to go home. They said something like, in one of their letters, they said something like, "We have earned our right to be here and we intend to stay here," or something along those lines, paraphrasing. And so the black people back then didn't want to leave. They didn't want to go home. It was hell there. They were, like I said, they were conquered by other tribes. They were brutalized, put into slavery over there, and they still are today. But Abraham Lincoln had hired a company to take basically everybody back. He's like, "Look, you guys, I don't think it's a good idea that you stay here. I don't agree with slavery over here, but I don't think that you're a good match for our society." Now, obviously most of that has changed, but not all of it. There's still a lot of lot of tribal mentality, a lot of gang mentality. And people who reject that tribal gang mentality and become true Americans, well, that's what an American should be. And I know that we all have that tendency to become in our own little groups or gangs and create our own little territories, just like the wolves that I mentioned earlier. Ooh, it's all off camber here. But as you look around, you start seeing a lot more Chinese coming in, a lot more guys from Mexico coming in. And I know there's lots of worries about military-aged men from China. I don't know a whole lot about that. I haven't looked into it a whole lot. But it seems to me that there's military-aged men coming from all over the place. These guys really want to be here. And unfortunately, a lot of them want to be here for our system, essentially, to use it like a rental car. A lot of guys come over here and instead of joining the military for benefits, they just suck off the system for benefits. And not that I necessarily think everybody should join the military, but if you want benefits, you should. It's one of the best ways to do it. Do some active duty service and voila, you are covered. You've got some benefits. But to come over here and just leech off the system immediately without earning it, without earning any kind of without putting any kind of work in, I should say, then that's messed up and it's killing our system. And I knew a lot of people, I've known a lot of people like that throughout my life. Bosnians would come over here and just brutalize our system, stealing constantly. I used to hang out with them for a little bit until I finally I finally separated a little bit from those guys, because they were just, that was part of their culture. Going back to that, like, they were really good kids, good friends, really good friends. They would have your back, they wouldn't lie to you, but they would go to a store and justify stealing like crazy, and they would just wreck a lot of small businesses. So cultural differences matter, not race, because a lot of those dudes were white that I'm talking about. We all came from somewhere, but when you go to a different place, you have to be willing to learn their culture and do it legally, because there's a reason that people ask you to learn about their country before you live there. If you learn about their country, you learn their expectations. The stealing and being violent, it's not what we want here. That's for sure. Anyways, guys, I just blabbered on for a while. This was actually a pretty difficult one to make because I'm getting bounced around quite a bit. on this off-camber stuff, you gotta really have your bike at the right angle, otherwise it'll fly out from under you. Not sure if I made any kind of coherent sense during that section, but hope you guys enjoyed it anyways. Catch you on the next section. Peace. Alright guys, I just wanted to thank my Patreon supporters. That would be Lance Darnell, Jim Jolson Jr., Kurt Kinghorn, Daniel Roush, Brian Thomason, Wade James, Moto Creek, Nathan Young, Jason Froling. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you.